Hey guys, Reuben Williams here, founder of SportsGrad. Back in the day, I landed a job at Cricket Australia on the Monday after my final university exam. And then 3 years later, when COVID hit and my job was made redundant, rather than looking for work for months on end, I was headhunted into a role that doubled my salary. I'm not telling you this to brag, I'm telling you because there is a method to it. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. For example, Lucas Viana, one of our members, called the SportsGrad method a cheat code, and another member, Sasha Brahim, she called it magic. And honestly, I'll take that. Now, most people spend years trying to break into sport and never figure out why it is not working. And so the reason that this podcast exists is to change that. Every week, I'm going to share some real moments from real coaching calls that are unfiltered, unscripted, so you get a taste for the kind of work that has helped people land over 800 roles in sport and counting. If you're ready to stop guessing and start moving in the right direction and go after the career that you've always wanted, apply for the SportsGrad Method program at sportsgrad.com.au. Now, let's get into it. What we're going to go into today is how to create your own role, whether it be in grassroots, at a startup, or on your own as well, like Jack Green is doing. But by far, creating your own role is the quickest way to the top. And so what we're going to cover off today is we're going to help you identify how you can become a problem solver no matter where you go, so we can actually learn what matters. And that's something you're going to carry with you, not just in the opportunity that you are doing right now, but the opportunities that you continue to do in sport for years to come. At the same time, what we're going to do today is going to show you how to create an example of initiative for yourself, so that when it does come time to signal your initiative, you've already got a massive project that you can lean on, because by virtue of creating it yourself, you are signaling initiative before you even talk about what happened after that point in time. And then finally, off the back of doing this, you're going to separate yourself far and above the rest of the pack who think, oh, if I've just got a degree and I've just got a bit of experience and I just keep applying for jobs on the job boards, then it will be enough. And you guys are going to leapfrog those people. So I want to introduce you to the concept of a DIY internship. And this is basically an experience that you create for yourself because of the skills, networks, brand, or results that you can leverage in the future. So if you think about like when you want to step into your next role, you want to work backwards from like what you want to be able to say about yourself at that point in time. And so with that in mind, that's when you want to step into opportunities that can give you a platform to do some work, and think about how you can use that platform to create a result that you can leverage at that point in time in the future. So for example, a few of my DIY internships in the early days involved the Deakin University Sports Society, my St. Mary's Salesian Football Club, who I used to play for, and SportsGrad. So starting in the middle, this was my first DIY internship at my local footy club. And I actually got inspired to do this by my friend Anthony. So Anthony was studying commerce at Melbourne Uni, one of the smartest guys that I know, now earns, shitload of money in the investment banking world. But back in uni, he was volunteering as a treasurer at his local tennis club. And I was like, Anthony, why the hell are you doing this? Like, he was gunning for like a grad role at Combank. And he's like, oh, I think it'd be a good experience and it'll look good on my resume. So I thought, if it's good enough for Anthony, it's good enough for me. So I messaged Dave Malcolm, the president, who's got his hands up in the air behind me, and said, hey, Mr. President, like, can I get involved in the footy club some way, shape or form? And he said, do you want to take over social media? And I said, yep, love to. I had no idea how to create anything or write or anything at this point in time. But my remit was simply like go out there and kind of build the culture and build engagement with our local club. And so one of the ideas that I came up with back then was this campaign called #SaintsAbroad. So the idea was to encourage people to showcase their colours and take their jersey with them around the world when they travel, and then post it using #SaintsAbroad. And so this got people like really engaged in the club, and they would often pack their jumper whenever they headed to Europe or South America or whatever they were doing. And they'd post these amazing photos from Machu Picchu or the Tour de France or, London, wherever they happened to be. And what that meant over the course of a season is we ended up with, a few dozen photos from around the world. And so when it came time to run a little stall at the Ashburton Fair one February, to engage the local community, I then printed out all the photos and ran a competition to see who in the community, in the street, could guess all the locations that these photos were taken from. No one told me to do it. Dave didn't say, hey, I want you to run this campaign. He basically just said like, hey, I want you to run social media, do what you want with it. And that gave me an opportunity to get creative. And so one of the best things about DIY internships is that there is less barriers, less sort of constraints on you to showcase what you can do. If you, for example, if you were to step into like a more formalized internship, let's say like even at like the Collingwood Football Club, as great as it would be to step into the Collingwood Football Club, they're going to put a box around what you can and can't do. And sure, you'll get the credibility of having Collingwood on your resume, but even the people who are employed there full time can have a bit of restraint on what they're allowed to do. And so if you create something for yourself, it actually gives you the ability and the freedom to showcase all of your skill set. So then the same thing happened when I got to the Deakin University Sports Society. When I arrived at Deakin Uni and joined the club, initially, like I got back from an internship in France and met all these student athletes over there and realized they were all involved with their local university, and I was not. And so I was at Paris Airport on the way back home when I messaged Dus and said, hey, can I get involved in some way, shape, or form? This is like halfway through my degree. And so in the last semester of my second year, was just like a casual committee member. And then at the end of the year, everyone left the committee except for me and Paul Hoy, who I think most of you would have met from cohort 3. And Paul was like, well, I'm a bit too busy to be president. Do you want to do it? I'm like, cool, I guess I'm president. And there was no sort of directive at that point in time. Like the club was something that, a former student in the past had set up. I had just become the custodian of. But I kind of saw the opportunity to leverage the title of president and under the banner of deacon and turn it into whatever I wanted it to be. And so that's where in that year that I was president, what I did was I rebranded the organization. So we changed that logo that you can see there. We changed the name from Dusk to Dust. So we got rid of a letter just to simplify it. Gave it a snazzy new logo with a bit of red and a bit of yellow rather than 4 different colors. And started to think about how we can grow this organization back up to 200 members, because in the previous 3 years it had been declining from 180 to like 150 down to 125 when I took over. And in that 1 year, we got it back up to 213. No one told me to do anything. I was just like, all right, this is a space that I can look after. Let's see what we can create. And then the last one is SportsGrad, which is an example of something that anybody can start on their own, and you've got absolutely free reign to do with it. And the opportunity there is you never know what it might become. And here we are today. So that screenshot on the right there is, I think, a mock-up of a web page that I drew probably back in 2018 or something like that. So if you're looking for DIY internships that you can create, that you can leverage in the future, then think about what might you be able to create on your own, what might you be able to do in the realm of grassroots sport, or what might you be able to do in the realm of a university or a work environment that is already set up. So this is Tom Blazik. So I've mentioned him a few times during the program, but when he joined the program at the start of the year, he was a substitute teacher who never worked in athlete wellbeing before, trying to make a move into sport without ever having worked in sport before. And so as a bit of a stepping stone to build his experience, we identified that it would perhaps be worth him offering his services to a local grassroots club to be their athlete wellbeing officer, to give him that experience and give him that network to add to his resume. And so we sat down and we kind of crafted out like what Tom might be able to bring to the table, what he would offer to the club, and then how he would actually approach the club as well, so that he could get his pitch for himself and his services over the line. He wasn't charging for this; he just wanted the opportunity to prove himself and get that sort of badge of initiative on his resume. And so he ended up reaching out to the Sherwood Magpies. They let him in, and he ended up spending the entire season with the club. And then on top of the series that he was creating on athlete wellbeing, it gave him extra things to post about, to showcase who he was and what he was doing. But further to that, this is where, like, if we think back to our career operating system, this is where like the 4 quadrants of his goals started to like weave into each other. because his skill goal was to read a journal article every single week on athlete wellbeing. His brand goal was to summarize that journal article and post about it. And his project goal was to help improve the performance of the Sherwood Magpies football club. And so his skill goal of like learning on the job his project goal with the Sherwood Magpies actually gave him a space to implement what he was learning through the journal articles. Whereas otherwise, he's just kind of absorbing theory, putting it out into the world, and not actually getting the opportunity to put it into practice. So, if you're thinking about how you might want to combine your different verticals of your goals, thinking about how your skill might play into your project and then also play into your brand goal as well, and then on top of that, your people goal falls into it too, is a really efficient and smart way to go about your career. All right, guys, that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed that and got something out of it. If you want to learn directly from me and our other SportsGrad coaches who are working directly in the industry, then jump into the SportsGrad Method program. Once you're inside, you'll also get access to the entire SportsGrad Method curriculum that comes with a 90-day roadmap, so you know exactly what to do next. There is a step-by-step system to this. You do not have to think of what to do. We have thought of it all for you. Plus, you can tap into the SportsGrad network and get introductions to the people that might be hard to meet for you at the moment. Plus, you'll be surrounded by the wonderful SportsGrad community who are all helping each other get closer to their goals as well. So the results speak for themselves. Have a look at the website if you want to check it all out, but we'd love to see you inside and receive your application. See ya.